welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where I am sure that you're feeling good, that you have a big smile on your face after what we saw on Saturday. The whole occasion was absolutely fantastic, and we're going to be talking about our return home. We're going to be talking about the performance against Athletic Club, what we can learn from it as well, look at individual performances, some tactical oversights as well, and looking ahead, of course, to Tuesday night in the Champions League coming up against Chelsea. That is going to be a massive game for Barca, and all of that build-up, it starts right here today, guys. So get yourselves ready. Please don't forget as well to drop a like if you do enjoy the videos. Come on! Let's do this. But let's start first of all right here with a big thank you to Amir and a very special shout out indeed to his 6-month-old daughter Anulo, who of course is a big Barca fan. That is absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate it. And also here to Kola, who questions whether Barca actually need a new centre-back, or should Jules Koundé be played in his original position again? That's an interesting one there that should indeed lead to some good debate. And I would just say though, Koundé at right back yesterday, he's had a tricky season so far. It hasn't been easy for him at times, but I did feel as though he was improved in the game against Athletic Club, and also of course given that he was up against our old friend Nico Williams. But indeed guys, make no mistake about it, yesterday's win, yesterday's game, it was just different, in every single way. The feelings, the emotions, how it felt to be watching Barca play, it just hit different. It really did. It genuinely felt as though this was our first home game in over 900 days. I know that we played at Montjuic. I know that we played at the Joan Stadium. Of course, they've been, places where we could try and call home, but this is where we truly belong. And yesterday, you could feel it, the crowd, the atmosphere, the way the players were responding to the crowd. It was all just different. I thought Hansi Flick summed it up in such a beautiful way, because he actually said, many years ago, I came to watch a match here at the Camp Nou, and I'd just been fired from a third division team. But he said, I told myself, one day I will sit on that bench. And now the dream has come true. He said it was an incredible feeling walking up those stairs and reaching the pitch here. It was surreal. And even for him, he hadn't experienced this. He's been the Barca coach now for over a season. This is his first glimpse of the Camp Nou and what it represents and what it means to play and perform here in front of that crowd. He said it's an unbelievable story for me. And it shows that when you work hard, when you believe in what you can do, everything becomes possible. That's what I tell my players. If I could do it, they can do it. They have to work hard. We've got to think about our strengths. We've got to believe in our quality. Play as a team. Everything is possible. And that's what this stadium does. That's what this return to the Camp Nou does, in my opinion. It galvanizes everyone. It gives everybody that bit more belief, that bit more hunger to go out there, show what you can do, believe in yourselves. You have got this crowd, you've got this stadium behind you now. This is somewhere that we can call home. And I think it's so important, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Barca throughout the season so far, we had been struggling. We had been finding it difficult. We had lost our way a bit, I would say. This is how we get it back. We start now as we mean to go on. Saturday was a great start, a great opening game, and it's only up from here. And I really do mean that in every single way possible, because even what we saw yesterday at the stadium, that's going to get bigger, that's going to get better as these weeks and months go on. And let's have an update here on exactly what we can expect in terms of that progress at the Camp Nou, increasing the capacity, and in the end, completely finishing the stadium. Because Laporta has said, I believe that we will get to phase 1C, that permit required, by the end of the year, and that will allow Barca to increase the capacity there to 60,000 fans. So that could happen pretty soon. By the end of the year, we're talking about 60k inside the stadium very soon indeed. And Laporta went on to say the stadium will be fully completed with a full capacity of 105,000 by the end of 2026, because he did explain that the roof will need about 3.5 months to be lifted there. So we have to find the right moment to do that without disrupting the team during the season, but we'll decide later when it's best, but full capacity, 105k, unless something unexpected happens, should be ready by the end of 2026. Can you imagine that? Genuinely, it gives me goosebumps to think about 105,000 inside that stadium. It was good enough yesterday. It was incredible yesterday. We're going to ramp that up to 60k. We're going to ramp that up then to 105k. It is going to be bouncing. It's going to be a fortress. And Laporta actually admitted that Hansi Flick told him, I can't wait to experience that. I really am looking forward to experiencing this stadium at full capacity. And Laporta apparently made it clear to Flick, oh, you're going to be there. You are absolutely going to be there to experience that. And there are even a few signs already right now that a further renewal for Hansi Flick is being considered by the club. It is being spoken about inside of the club. And everybody's encouraged by this. Everybody is energised by this return. Welcome back, FC Barcelona. But of course, guys, then we do have the game itself. Then we do have the very, very impressive win over Athletic Club. Now, in my opinion, Athletic didn't offer up too much of a stern challenge. I think they were a nice team. It was a good team, really, for us to face in that opening game. They're really struggling to score goals right now. Once we went 1-0 up, 2-0 up, the game was pretty much over, in my opinion. Barca took the game away from them, and it was a very resounding win in the end. But I want to talk here a little bit more about Eric Garcia, because I just thought yesterday he was outstanding. And genuinely, guys, it's not here now about, oh, he's doing well as a backup, he's helping the team as a cover player. No, he's doing well as a player that's starting in this team. He is actually performing this season at a very, very high level. And Hansi Flick, he was glowing in his words about Eric Garcia. He said, for a coach, it's great to have a player like him. It is fantastic to have a player like him. We didn't have De Jong, but we knew that Eric would be the right choice. We've been working on it in training throughout the week. And he also said as well, we're working on renewing him right now. When it's finalised, we're going to talk more about that. But he said everybody can see that Eric has improved an enormous amount. He's confident in every position and he plays at such a high level. Not only versatile, but just so good right now. And Eric Garcia, he's playing with confidence, even playing right now with a mask. He's been outstanding, to be fair to him. But one thing I would say, it was a bit of a blow, wasn't it, for Marc Casado yesterday? You felt as though with no Pedri, with no Frenkie de Jong, that was an opportunity for him to step into midfield, to be called upon, to be counted, and it just didn't really happen for him. He wasn't put in the starting lineup. He did come on later, but big weeks ahead for him now. He's got to really fight. He's got a lot of competition in that area. Eric Garcia has come in here and done extraordinarily well, and this is what we need. Good competition, players pushing each other. Great depth. Hansi Flick also had plenty of encouraging words for the man who scored Barca's opening goal, the first goal upon the return to the Camp Nou. Of course it had to be Robert Lewandowski. And I've got to say, guys, I was really happy that it was him. He's a player who's seen so many things, he's been here for so many years, but like I said yesterday, he hasn't gotten to experience this stadium as much as he should have, and I was so happy that he was able to score the opening goal. Flick said he's so important for us. He's a player who, when he's given a chance, he will score almost 100% of the time. He said in the last 10 years, he's perhaps the best number 9. It has nothing to do with age right now. We don't need to talk about that. He's in great form, and he has the hunger and the desire to score goals. So Hansi Flick, he's firmly confident in Lewandowski. He sees a player here who is very, very motivated, and that's what I'd say right now with Barca. We're in a very good position, and we have to use this here to our advantage. Lewandowski now, he's trying to earn a new contract. He is out there every single game thinking, I've got to perform. I've got to show Barca what I can do. I've got to show Barca that I'm still the man to be the number 9. I can still score the goals. I should be renewed at the club. And that is perfect. And I also just think here, with this return to the Camp Nou, for somebody like Lewandowski, with his age, he's experienced so much in the game. He's won nearly everything that you could possibly wish for as a player. I think you need different things to motivate you. I think you need a different kind of feeling, to really get you up and to keep pushing for more and more seasons. I think the Camp Nou gives him that. You look at the way yesterday that he celebrated with the crowd. You look at the way that he responded there. He wanted the match ball. He didn't score a hat-trick, but he wanted the ball to remember that first goal by. And he said after the game, I've had so many experiences playing at other stadiums throughout my career, but here at the Camp Nou, it's something different. It is something truly special. And Lewandowski said, a player here who scored hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of goals, this first goal is something that I will remember forever. That is what it means. That is what it means to him. That is what it means to every single player. And right now, we're recapturing confidence. But indeed, guys, what I also thought was really, really interesting about the game against Athletic Club and the performance from Barca, looking at the team as a whole, the tactical approach here, and the changes that were made by Hansi Flick, in your opinion, from the eye test alone, did you notice any differences in the style? And I'm thinking here about the highline, I'm thinking about the way we approached the game defensively. Did it seem to you yesterday as though maybe we took a little bit less risk? Now, I'm not saying that we parked the bus and that we were there in a deep block. Of course we weren't. But if you take a look here, for example, at the average positions of the Barcelona players versus Athletic, and then you compare it to when we played Club Bruges in the Champions League, and it was a nightmare. Remember that game, we were on the halfway line. They were just breaking through with ease. It was terrible that night defensively. Look at the difference right there from the average positions, because what you have already are the two centre-backs slightly deeper. Again, it's not massive. It's not a complete change in the style, but it's just one or two steps withdrawn. And especially look at the fullbacks there. Against Club Bruges, Balde was literally playing as a winger. He was miles forward. Koundé was beyond the halfway line as well. Yesterday, though, Koundé's retreated a bit. Koundé was a lot more solid, like I say. He didn't have to take on as much risk yesterday, and Balde was deeper as well. And you've also got yesterday Eric Garcia in a deeper role as well. So Barca, in my opinion, they just played the game more smartly yesterday. There was no need against Athletic Club, especially after taking the lead early, building on that as well. You didn't need to sit on the halfway line. You didn't need to invite pressure. You didn't need to give them an opportunity to break through in behind. We basically said, okay, we're doing well. We're managing the game. Take a step back if you need to. You don't need to be going gung-ho all game long. And I think that's good. And I also wonder here, has this been done specifically before the Chelsea game? I do wonder here if Hansi Flick is already starting to prepare for that game. Because remember, even before yesterday, he was talking about Tuesday. He was talking about, we have a game on Tuesday. We're thinking about Tuesday. I think he is preparing to play Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. We saw a very similar approach as well against Newcastle at St James's Park, where Barca were a little bit more conservative. By Flick standards, more conservative. We definitely played the game there, eliminating as much risk as possible. And I definitely think against Chelsea, we're trying to use our heads. We are going to be brave. We are going to be bold. We are going to play our style. But it might just be slightly, ever so slightly, adapted. But speaking indeed about our coming opponents on Tuesday night, well, Chelsea had a pretty solid weekend there. They won 2-0 away at Burnley, and it's also important to note that they played the early Saturday kickoff time. So in terms of preparation for this game, we've both got a similar amount of time to recover ahead of Tuesday. Now, Chelsea did elect actually to rest Caicedo, who's an incredibly important player for them. Wesley Fofana was rested as well, and Maresca even withdrew Reece James, their captain, at half-time, although he says that was pre-planned. It is not an injury. That's a player there who suffered a lot of injury problems, but he said that was pre-planned ahead of the game on Tuesday. They scored goals against Burnley, courtesy of Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernandez, who, can I just say, he has been a tremendous signing for Chelsea there, Enzo Fernandez. He was expensive, it was big money. It's not as though he's been an absolute bargain, but ultimately, he's proven to be worth every single penny, and that was a win for Chelsea that moved them up to second in the Premier League table. They are high on confidence. At Chelsea, you're never quite sure of how they're feeling. It doesn't take too much to upset them or maybe to send them down a different kind of path mentally. But right now, they're up to second. They won at the weekend. They've rested some players as well. And this is going to be a challenge. Make no mistake about it here. Barca, they have to be at their best. They are going to have to come into this game, work incredibly hard, be together, play as a team. The system is going to have to work perfectly. But these are the kinds of games that, in my opinion, you want to play. You want to be a part of. You want to be challenged on the biggest stage. That is why we must go into Tuesday's game with excitement and with optimism. But in terms of injuries right now, Alejandro Balde, let's talk about him. He came off at half-time with a little bit of a blow to the head, didn't he, in the first half? It was a little bit concerning to see him go down after that kind of collision. And I think in the end, Barca, they just didn't want to take any risks with him. Of course, with head injuries, you've got to be so careful. But Flick said after the game that he's fine, he's all okay, and he's expected to be available on Tuesday against Chelsea. There's Marcus Rashford. He returned to training with the group this morning. That is absolutely fantastic news there. He's recovered pretty quickly, I've got to say, from the flu, back in training, and he is also expected to be ready against Chelsea, which is great, given how he performed at St James's Park against Newcastle. You know, can he do the same? Can he replicate that level against Chelsea? You wouldn't bet against it. But then you've got Pedri. Now, of course, he is still waiting to make that return, and he didn't train with the group today. Now, in my opinion, that is pretty much decisive for him, because I think ahead of a game like Chelsea, a big, high-intensity game, you've got to be up to speed. And I just think here, if Pedri is not back with the team now, if he's not training with the group now, I think it's unlikely we see him, you know, with the team against Chelsea. He may travel. I'm sure he's going to be part of that group, but I would be surprised to see Pedri taking to the field. We will have Frenkie back, and of course we do have other midfield options. And the main thing for us is getting Pedri back in a safe manner and having him available for the full season ahead, guys. So that is where we stand right now. In terms of injuries, how are you feeling? How are you feeling ahead of Tuesday? Away at Chelsea, are you confident? You know, are you feeling as though Barca can go there, do a job, get a win, you know, play in the right way? Do let me know in the comments down below. And coming up tomorrow, it's the match preview. Everything is going to be happening here, not only just on TalkFCB, but also on more TalkFCB too. So stay updated on both channels right now, guys. This is a great time for Barca. Let's have a special run here. Let's put together a number of wins on the bounce. I will see you soon for all of that good stuff coming up. Thank you indeed, though, for all of your support. But until next time, as always, Veshka, El Barça.